as a kid, everything is about you.
Right.
Everything you take it on as you, and that it's your fault, and it's such a tough place to be. And as we grow, I would love to say that like we separate that, but the ego is a powerful thing and can be, arrogance, it can be victimhood, everyone has one, and it affects how we view and see the world. And so we really have to break that down and understand who we are beyond these limited beliefs that we have formed.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Did y'all see that? What?
Let's just throw Scream 6 in there for like
It
my
was
fifth
good.
movie. It was really good. The best of the franchise, in my opinion, since the first one.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Oh my goodness. Welcome back to another episode of ITCAF Podcast. It is episode 294.
Woo.
Absolutely wild. And for those 294 episodes, your host with the most, myself, J. Logan Austin, aka J-Lo Fantastic. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Dustin M. Bergman, aka The Mouth.
What's up, everybody?
Man, oh man, before we dive deep into the summer blockbuster season and all the news around the entertainment industry, be sure to leave a rating on this podcast, comment below, and support in whatever way you can. Because if you didn't know, leave a rating or just commenting your thoughts on the podcast or a particular subject that we talk about on the show actually helps the podcast get seen by more people who enjoy entertainment news, but especially those who are trying to break into the entertainment industry.
Facts.
Us here at Crazy Ant Media are all about lending out the helping hand. So that is the goal, man. That is the goal, to continue helping the up-and-comers have the knowledge to move forward in their careers. That's for sure.
Yes.
But we will be starting off this freaking episode with blockbuster news, right? We're heading into Memorial Day weekend, so we're going to be talking a lot about that. There's a lot of MGM stuff. There's some Netflix stuff, and a little NBC Universal, and of course, all of the other studios as well. It's going to be freaking fantastic. But, before we jump into all of that, of course, be sure to head over to our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We got a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone. But if you also head over to our website, you can find personal bios, our projects that we're working on as filmmakers, our other podcasts like Everything's Okay,
Yep.
Mental Health, of course, and so much other things. That's why you just got to head over to the website one more time, www.crazyantmedia.com, so you can find out what's happening here at Crazy Ant Media.
Yes.
But we're very freaking excited because we have the one and only Gabrielle Walsh on this episode. And freaking she talks all about Found, and her and Dustin just had an amazing conversation.
Yeah, we really did. You can't have Gabrielle on without getting real, because that's just who she is. So we talk about the projects, we talk about the stuff, but she's like, life, let's talk about it. And we dive in, the highs, the lows, the joys, the trauma, everything, and how it plays into what we do. And just, yeah, another fantastic conversation. You guys are really going to love that interview.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But like I said a little bit earlier, we are starting off with the blockbuster season heading into Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
As a true cinephile knows, the Memorial Day weekend is the official start of the summer box office. And early tracking numbers show we could be in for another huge start. Oh, really hope so. Really hope
Yes.
so. The 3-day weekend tracking just hit, and Disney's live-action take on 2002's Toon, Lilo and Stitch, is going to be heading into about $120 million over the 4 days, while Paramount's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is eyeing about $80 million over the Friday through Monday frame. Now, the two movies are looking forward to a combined $200 million in that 4-day weekend. Oddly enough, though, this isn't the first time Lilo and Stitch have squared off against the one and only Tom Cruise.
Really?
The original Disney Toon and the actor's Minority Report opened the same weekend in 2002.
Wow.
Now, Cruise is no stranger to huge numbers on the holiday weekend, as his Top Gun Maverick owns the best opening ever on a Memorial Day weekend with, of course, the $160 million that it pulled in. The highest grossing Memorial Day weekend ever remains to be that 2013 year when Fast and Furious 6 and The Hangover Part 3 brought in a combined total of $314 million. I'm hoping for another big one, man. Freaking, like I said, the summer blockbuster season is upon us. There's a lot of great films that are supposed to be coming out to the theaters, and my fingers are crossed. I'm a true believer in the survive till 25, okay? It's true.
Yeah, no, same. And you know, this is good. Tracking, it's always, you know, it's like weather forecasting. It's always a guess, but they do have numbers. They do have pre-sale tickets. They do. So there's some stuff that they use to guess, but this looks good. This looks like we could be off to a strong start. They're already calling it Lilo and Stitch Impossible. They're trying to come up with a Barbenheimer name, obviously, for this thing, which don't, because I don't think it'll match that. But I am excited about it. We do, however, have a couple of weekends before Memorial Day weekend coming up, and they too look like they're going to be pretty good thanks to a couple of films keeping deep legs and other ones opening strong. So let's head on over to Disney, where Disney's latest Marvel superhero adventure, Thunderbolts, stormed into $11.5 million in last night's Thursday previews. That's a promising start for the ensemble superhero pick. Now, the star-studded movie, of course, led by Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan, is winning over critics and audiences alike. As of this morning, Friday, when we record this show, Thunderbolts was boasting a 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. That means tracking suggests the movie will open somewhere between 70 and 75 million domestically, 160 million to 175 million globally, which puts it just under Captain America. But here's the thing, word of mouth could see that number climb higher because it's already getting high scores on people coming out. The cinema score after is an A-, and it's getting talked about really, really well. So that could mean it gets long legs, and that would mean good news because it's going to need to stick around for a while on the marquee, longer than Captain America Brave New World did, just to justify the $180 million budget that it had. Now, if you're wondering in comparison how it was, Brave New World, of course, started off really strong, came out of the gate flying, but then fell each week over the weekends before tapping out with just over $414 million globally. Now, I know what you're thinking, nearly $500 million and that's a failure? It did lose money. It won't make money for Marvel, so that just gives you that tells you that these movies are expensive and they've got to make some money. Now, it will go into profit after it hits streaming, I'm sure, no problem. But listen, the reason I'm feeling pretty good about Thunderbolts is because it is getting really good word of mouth already, which means it may not see as big drop-offs weekend to weekend as Captain America did. Fingers crossed, because I hear it's an outstanding film.
Yeah, I hear it's a very nice team-up film, that's for sure, and it's going to be, like, one of the first team-up films that we've seen since the last Avengers or since, like, Spider-Man No Way Home or, like, you know, those type of movies in that time range. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm super excited about it, and I hear that Florence Pugh just steals the entire movie. Yeah. She is definitely the leader of that one.
And in case anybody doesn't know, okay, ready? Get your pencil and paper, write this down. It's kind of a sequel to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. I'm just saying, yeah, it's got all kinds of that mixed in and continues the storylines from all, and a little bit of Captain America, Brave New World, because of Bucky and like where we saw him last. So if you haven't seen any of those, you'll still be okay, but you probably should watch them first. Anyway.
Probably should. Well, Shogun is officially coming back for season 2 at FX, with the second season of the historical drama set to begin production in January 2026 in Vancouver, Canada. Season 1 of Hiroki Sanda's and Cosmo Jarvis will return to the roles of Lord Yoshi Tarana and the John Blackthorne, respectively. I'm sorry, I fucked up your name. Shananda, who was the producer on season 1, in addition to starring, he has been elevated to executive producer for season 2. Now, Jarvis will now be the co-executive producer on the series. The second season will take place 10 years after the events of the first season. So a lot of things could happen in that in-between time, and it was a hit, so we're going to be interested to see how this one does.
Yeah, totally. Everybody was wondering, are they going to go prequel or sequel? And clearly now we know sequel 10 years after. So, yeah, I'm pumped. You know, it was one of my favorite all-time ever shows. So, yeah. One I'm not excited about, and I just don't understand why we're doing, a new iteration apparently of the smash hit AB series Desperate Housewives is now in development at the Onyx Collective. Remember that show way back in the day? The project is currently titled Wisteria Lane, which, if you don't know, was the name of the street they all lived on in the old show. Natalie Shades is attached to write and executive produce, with Kerry Washington and Pilar Savone executive producing via their Simpson Street. Now, per the official logline, the show is set around a group of 5 very different friends and sometimes frenemies who all live on a picture-perfect cul-de-sac called Wisteria Lane. On the surface, all of the Wisteria neighbors are living the dream. Beautiful homes, gorgeous families, shiny SUVs in the driveway. But behind those white picket fences and smiling Insta posts are secrets. So, exactly the same as the first one. It's exactly the same. Like, at the time, that was groundbreaking. It relaunched the careers of Terry Hatcher and Nicolette Sheridan, and and Eva Longoria. It was a great show. It was one of those that you wanted to tune in and catch because it was just batshit crazy. They did crazy shit on that show. We don't need it again. We don't need it. If it was something completely different, okay. But that sounds like I could have ripped that from the log line of the original show and copied and pasted. That's it. I don't know. I don't think we need it.
It's very interesting, like we talked about last week. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So they keep going back to the successful, well-oiled machine. This is the day and age that we're in Hollywood, where I feel like, we need bankable money, and studios need money, so they're so afraid of original content. But you also see original content like Sinners making big waves in the entertainment industry, and talk about like original.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, speaking of Sinners and Warner Brothers absolutely dominated the box office in April. Okay. They had Sinners and the Minecraft movie, and they both shattered expectations. The second consecutive weekend for Sinners, Warner Brothers nabbed the #1 and #2 spot, international, domestic, and the global box office charts. It's an especially promising reversal in fortunes because the studio suffered a rough start to 2025 with theatrical flops like Robert De Niro's The All-Tone Nights and Bong Joon-ho and Robert Pattinson's Mickey 17. And that's after ending last year with the super big misfire Joker Folie à Deux. So, yeah, Warner Brothers definitely needs this. So, I mean, these last couple weekends, I'm sure they've been sitting back, very happy, and a couple people even kept their jobs.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Very, very happy studio right now.
Oh, for sure. And things are look, everybody knows Thunderbolts is going to be #1. Disney and Marvel will continue that streak of every single Marvel movie opening at #1 at the box office. But we are looking at numbers, and it appears that Sinners will have another strong weekend in its third outing, and that's really good news. Minecraft might even stay in the top 5. We don't know. Sinners is expected to finish second or third, though. And speaking of Ryan Coogler's Sinners, when it finishes its little initial run, guess what? The film's been invited into IMAX 70mm screens again. Tickets are now on sale for the film's limited re-release screenings in 9 select IMAX 70mm theaters across North America. It will play from May 15th to May 21st. Now, Warner Brothers cites overwhelming popular and critical response as the reason for the re-release. This is it. See, it's still in theaters. It's still killing it. They're already making plans for the re-release in IMAX theaters. That should tell you everything about how good this film is. And it's just going to continue to add to that total. It's already making boatloads of money. So there you go.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, Warner Brothers did take a little step back, though, because we know how the DC Universe has been announcing all of these exciting things. We're super excited about Superman coming up in the blockbuster summer, but A project that we announced a couple weeks ago on the show
Yeah.
is no longer moving forward. That's right. DC Studios' Sgt.Rock is completely out of development. No one cares anymore. And the World War II picture is being eyed. It was being eyed queer and challengers directors Luca Guadagnino to direct, and of course set the star in this thing was Colin Farrell. Now, according to knowledge from sources close to the situation, they needed like for exterior location shooting in the UK, and it required like a summer start date at the production. They just they could not do it, and filming in the winter was a non-starter as well. So the studio has put the project on hold with the hope that it will start up again in 2026. But Luca continues. Involvement remains unclear. This one was dead or here and gone super quick. It'll be very interesting to see if they do move forward, especially after the success or failure of Superman. I'm guessing a success though. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see if they pick back up on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, remember Colin wasn't even the original star, right? Remember it was
Yeah,
James
correct,
Bond
yeah.
boy there who dropped out of it, like because he just I don't know, creative differences, whatever. So
Yeah,
this
Daniel
is-
Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig. This is definitely not good. I mean, this is not. It just is it just me, or does it seem like any of the DC projects that aren't James Gunn involved are like falling apart. Like they're just not happening. They're being removed from the schedule, or they're running into casting problems, or it's just like, yeah, I mean, we can't just have James Gunn projects, guys. It's got to now Lanterns. I'm still hearing good things about Lanterns, but I wanted to say Garrett Dillahunt, you got to stop posting pictures, my man, because James is gonna start getting upset. Pretty much already blew that you're playing Green Arrow and an older version of Green Arrow to match the older version of Hal
What are you
Jordan.
talking about? He's following James Gunn's lead.
Yeah,
Like
but
James
I
Gunn
mean,
posts so
I
much
know,
stuff.
but
So I mean that he's
like,
just following his lead.
I don't
Like
know.
that's hilarious.
I don't know. He's got to stop. I hate when they spoil it. Of course, anybody, if you just followed his normal Instagram, even when he wasn't posting anything about the show, once you started to see the blonde, grayish goatee come in, and you knew who he was playing. There was no doubt who he was playing, but still. Anyway, all right, Garrett, I'll cut you a break because I want to see that show. I'm excited about it. This one's also exciting. How about this one? Josh Hutcherson, of course, of Hunger Games fame and a bunch of other stuff. He's apparently joined Rachel Sennat's upcoming HBO comedy series in a recasting move. That's right. Hutcherson will now take over one of the lead roles, which was supposed to be played by Miles Robbins, who was the guy that shot it in the pilot episode, as the role underwent changes after the pilot was shot. And then the show was greenlit. Now, Sennat also stars in this untitled series. Per the official logline, it's about a codependent friend group that reunites, navigating how the time apart, ambition, and new relationships has changed them all. Okay. That sounds interesting. I mean, and hey, recastings happen, man. It's, it's part of the game.
It's part of the game, man. It's part of the game. Well, heading over to Paramount, where Miles Teller is attached to star in a Paramount Pictures Winter Games.
Ooh.
Now, Paul Down Cozio is directing. Pat Cunane and Cozio penned the script. The film revolves around the high-stakes arena of the Winter Olympic Games. A very much overlooked skier and a self-sabotaging hockey legend who collide at their breaking points. Now, their unexpected connection threatens her chance for a medal and his chance at a comeback as they navigate the romance and redemption in Olympic Village. That sounds interesting. It sounds like a sports love story.
Yeah, it does. It's also very similar to The Cutting Edge, which was a hockey player and a figure skater that kind of took. But, I mean, if it works, it works. Like you just said, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. That plot line kind of works, so we'll just switch one up and make him a skier instead of a skater. But if it works, let's go for it. Let's be honest, Miles Teller, he's gold right now. Anything he touches works. So Paramount was smart to make that move, and it's probably going to be good. Another smart move by Paramount and Taylor Sheridan, because everybody loves this guy. He's a total fucking badass, and you need a badass to go up against Billy Bob Thornton. Who's that going to be? Sam Elliott. That's right, Sam Elliott set to appear as a series regular in season 2 of Landman at Paramount Plus. Season 2 of the Taylor Sheridan series is currently in production in Texas right now. The exact details of Elliott's role are being kept under wraps, but I'm betting he's going to go toe-to-toe. He will appear alongside lead Billy Bob Thornton, as well as the returning cast members Demi Moore, Ali Larder, Andy Garcia, Jacob Laughlin, Michelle Randolph, Paulina Chavez, Kayla Wallace, Mark Colley, James Jordan, and Colm Fier. I know what you're thinking. There's a name missing there. John Hamm. Well, spoiler alert, he fucking died. Probably. That's all I'm going to say. If you don't know, just go watch it.
Exactly. Yeah, Sam Elliott feels like a perfect casting decision to fit right
like
into
an old oil redneck, you know? That's...
Exactly. Well, Dexter Resurrection will premiere with 2 episodes on July 11th via Paramount Plus, with its on-air debut on Showtime coming 2 days later. Now, that's interesting. The news was revealed in a teaser for the newest series in the Dexter franchise, in which, of course, Michael C. Hall reprises his role as the vigilante serial killer Dexter Morgan. In the teaser, he reads a newspaper, raising his eyebrow and grinning over the article headline, "Dexter Morgan is dead." Dexter Resurrection takes place 2 weeks after Dexter Morgan takes a bullet to the chest from his own son, Harrison. As he awakes from his coma to find Harrison, played by Jack Alcott, gone without a trace. Realizing the weight of what he must have put his son through, Dexter sets out for New York City, determined to find him and make things right. But closure won't come easy. As father and son navigate their own darkness in the city that never sleeps, they soon find themselves deeper than ever imagined, and that the only way out is together. Absolutely in love with this concept. Super excited about it, especially in New York City. I mean, they're hitting all of the epic themes, I feel like. So, yeah, I think it's going to be very good.
Agreed. And are they going to end up dual serial killers? I feel like that's where it's headed. I feel like
that's that's kind of how it ended in New Blood.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know.
I think that's where it's going. I don't know. We'll see. What we also don't know is that CBS's newly picked up drama series Einstein apparently is looking for a new female lead. Rosa Salazar, who starred opposite Matthew Gray Gubler in the pilot, well, they're recasting her. She's not going to be continuing on the series. Sources say the actress approached the network and CBS Studios, which produces Einstein, after CBS's decision earlier this week to delay the series until the 2026-27 season instead of debuting it this season, with a request not to pick up her option. Now, Einstein had been originally picked up to series for this year. Salazar's request has been granted, with the two sides parting ways by mutual agreement. No official word on whether scheduling, financial, or other factors played a role in CBS's decision to halt the series this year and wait until next year. So I guess that's a fluid type thing. We'll keep an eye on it and find out why it was delayed. Kudos to them for allowing her out of the contract, because if they hadn't, she wouldn't have been able to take other jobs. She would have been stuck waiting on this thing and have to pass up other jobs, which would not have been cool. So good job, CBS and CBS Studios. Well done.
Most definitely. Well, NBC Universal filmmaker Joseph Kosinski is set to direct Miami Vice. Now, if you think that name sounds familiar, of course, blockbuster numbers. Freaking Top Gun Mavericks director, guys. That's right. And this Miami Vice remake for Universal Pictures is going to be interesting. That's for sure, because Dan Gilroy is adapting for the screenplay. Casting has yet to be announced, though the plot details haven't really been revealed anywhere. The movie, of course, is based on the 1980s TV series starring Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas as undercover detectives in South Florida. In addition to directing, Kosinski will produce through his company, Monolith. Now, that is very exciting because he did absolutely amazing, and everybody loved Miami Vice, so I feel like it might be another hit.
Yeah, they did not like the first attempt at a remake, though, with the movie starring Colin Farrell. It bombed horribly, but I think this is the right guy to do it. If you're going to do it, plus I think the timing just wasn't right the first time they tried to make it. It didn't work. But I think this one will. I think you're right. Three-time Emmy winner Bradley Whitford from The West Wing, you know him, you love him, has closed a deal to join Universal's adaptation of Colleen Hoover's bestseller Reminders of Him. Grammy winner Lainey Wilson will also join Whitford in what will be her feature film acting debut. Now, this thing's being described as a transformative feature film about motherhood, forgiveness, and the power of one love to heal even the most shattered heart. The story follows Kenna Rowan, who returns to her hometown after serving 5 years in prison for a tragic mistake. She hopes to reconnect with her young daughter, though everyone is intent on keeping them apart. Only one person in the area hasn't shunned her, and that's the local bar owner, Ledger Ward, who becomes an important part of Keena's life. Now, I know what you're thinking. She's acted before. Well, you're right. This isn't Lainey's first time acting. She has appeared in a recurring role on Yellowstone, playing Abby, a musician, beginning in season 5. And get this, Taylor Sheridan created the role specifically for her after her smash album and his smash hit series started featuring music on the show. So she's a really good actress too. So going up against Whitford and the rest of this cast should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, completely agree. So yeah, I mean, Lainey Wilson in movies. Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah,
let's see what happens.
Good on television. Can she make the jump?
Exactly. Well, Focus Features will open Yorgos Lanthimos' latest movie, Bugona?
I'm going with Bugonia.
Bugonia on October 24th in a limited engagement ahead of its worldwide break on October 31st, Halloween night.
Yes.
The film stars Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Aidan DeBills, Stavros Hakis, and Alicia Silverstone, and centers around two conspiracy-obsessed young men who kidnapped the high-powered CEO of a major company, convinced she is an alien intent on destroying planet Earth. Lanthimos directs from the screenplay written by Will Tracy. Now that sounds very freaking interesting, very out there. It sounds like a comedy. I'm hoping it's a comedy because if not, ugh.
Yeah. Well, one thing is for certain. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say this because it's impossible not to think this. Emma Stone is clearly Yorgos' muse. She's in literally everything he's made. I mean, remember, they won the Oscar together a couple years for Poor Things. It's like he makes weird movies, and she's in them. And they work. Jesse Plemons was in that one, Mark Ruffalo. So he's also loyal to his people. Willem Dafoe. I bet Willem Dafoe makes a cameo in here somewhere, too, because, But, yeah, this guy's an odd filmmaker, but it works somehow, Him and Emma. Keep going. That's all I can say. It's a very weird combination, but it works. Let's jump on over to Lionsgate. Lionsgate has released the first official trailer for Now You See Me, Now You Don't, the third movie, of course, in the Magician Heist series. Now, yes, the Four Horsemen, a group of thieving magicians, return from the previous two movies. Jesse Eisenberg as J. Daniel, Danny Atlas, Woody Harrelson as Merritt McKinney, Dave Franco as Jack Wilder, and the lovely Isla Fisher as Henley Reeves. Also returning, because you can't do it without him, Mark Ruffalo as Dylan Rhodes, and Morgan Freeman as Thaddeus Bradley. Newcomers to the series are Ariana Greenblatt, Dominic Sessa, Rosamund Pike, and Justice Smith. This is going to be a good one, y'all. Now You See Me, Now You Don't releases in theaters November 14th. Check out the trailer. It was pretty epic trailer. I'm all on. I've loved all these movies. I thought they were very original when they first came out. It's a cool concept, and I love that they're continuing them.
Yeah, completely agree. It's interesting too because taking the little breaks and then coming back and then I'm excited. Especially get the original cast back. So that's very freaking cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, my favorite studio right now, or production house, I guess you could say. I don't even know. A24, Brad Pitt is set to star in an upcoming adaptation of The Writers with Conclave filmmaker Edward Berger on board to direct. Now, A24 will finance and distribute the film. Production is expected to begin in the early years of 2026 and shooting in multiple locations all across Europe. That's the setting for Tim Winton's novel, The Writers, which follows a man who moved to Ireland with his family and finds himself searching far and wide after his wife goes missing. I love this nice little resurgence of Brad Pitt, not gonna lie. And he's taking things that I feel like are different than the box that he was put in before. So I like this new approach to his career, that's for sure.
He is definitely finding creative ways to stay relevant as a leading man in
Mm-hmm.
older roles, which
Mm-hmm.
typically doesn't happen. You typically phase out of the leading man into the supporting role. You still have a great career. Gene Hackman, I can think of just numerous that made that, but he's finding creative ways to stay the lead playing older guys. So good for him. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like this resurgence. I want to continue to see where he goes and what he does. All right, jumping over to the studio that had a ton of news this week. Let's get busy on it. Guy Ritchie has been announced to direct the sequel to Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal, of course, set to reprise his lead role as the ex-UFC fighter Dalton. Now, Roadhouse 2 marks the third collaboration between Ritchie and Gyllenhaal, and their second for Amazon MGM Studios following Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, which was brilliant, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it. Now, Will Beall from Bad Boys, Ride or Die, and Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. is writing this bad boy. Plot details for which are being, of course, kept under wraps. I'm excited for it. And we'll discuss this later on in our top 5, but yeah, I'm pumped for this, and I'll tell you why then.
Well, Chris Hemsworth is set to star in Subversion, a submarine action flick coming together at Amazon MGM Studios. Now, the film follows once promising naval commander, who of course is played by Chris Hemsworth, who is blackmailed by the cartel-like operation into piloting a dangerous submarine carrying illegal cargo across international waters,
Oh.
thrusting him into a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Now, outmaneuvering blockades and navigating pillarist threats, both in outside of the submarine. Man, is he already at the point where he's a once promising guy, I guess, as the lead role? That's crazy. I mean, he's getting older, I guess, but I mean, still, like, it's sad to see these people get old, okay?
Yeah. When their characters start becoming former or
Yeah.
once proud, or they're playing into the age thing a little. Why can't he be a current submarine guy? Come on, he's not that old. All right. Speaking of old, feeling old, getting old. Remember that little movie Speed way back in like 30 years? 30 years ago, maybe. Shit. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, guess what? They're reuniting to star in, no, not another Speed, but a new feature film together. The actors who famously, of course, starred in the 1990s action classic Speed, as well as the romantic drama The Lake House, are attached to star in an untitled romantic thriller being developed at Amazon MGM Studios. Now, plot details are being kept at the back of the bus, but it is being described as propulsive, so it's got some movement apparently. The project is more than just Reeves and Bullock reunion though. The duo are also reteaming with Mark Gordon, who of course produced the original Speed. So there you go, you reteam the three that made it a hit, and bam, look out, Amazon. I swear to God, there's nothing in my coffee. There's not, it's just coffee. Amazon is banking on famous stars that are, like you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's stars that they know work together. They're clearly taking a shot on this one. So fingers crossed, man. I love both of them. They always do seem to work well together. So let's see what you got.
Yeah, most definitely. And 31 years ago.
God,
Not just
31.
31
That
years
does
ago.
make you feel old. Shit.
Yes.
That was
absolutely.
I was younger than you when
Yeah.
I was younger than you are right now. That's how old that thing is. Shit.
Exactly.
Shit.
Following her star-making performance in the FX series
Yes.
Shogun, Anna Sawai has found her next big gig. The Emmy winner is set to co-star in Amazon MGM Studios' How to Rob a Bank from director David Leitch. Sawai joins previously announced stars Nicholas Hoult and Pete Davidson, and sources say that the film will be released in theaters. Now, plot details about this is currently being kept under wraps, but I'm always here for it when Amazon decides to co-release the film in theaters as well.
Yeah.
I think that's something that they differ with Netflix about, and I appreciate it more than just not releasing it in theaters. So thank you, Amazon, for still believing in the theatrical experience.
Agreed. And, I love Anna Sawaj. She's just beautiful. She was the darling of the award season the past couple of years, so because of Shogun. And obviously, she couldn't be in the second season of Shogun because she died. And it's set in the future. If they had done prequel, maybe that we could have seen her. But so I'm happy she's jumping on board and going to be a part of this. All I have to say, Anna, because you are sweet, you are a gem, and you're killing it right now, don't date Pete. Don't fall into the trap. Don't be the next one. All right? Okay. Moving on. Speaking of trap, after gaining a lot of buzz at the opening night movie during South by Southwest back in March, Another Simple Favor, is already streaming on Prime Video. There's a catch, though. Of course there is. The Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively sequel is available to stream only for Amazon Prime subscribers. That's it. If you're not an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can't watch it. Sorry. Another Simple Favor follows, of course, Stephanie Smothers, played by Anna, and Emily Nelson, played by Blake, reuniting after the event of A Simple Favor, but this time on Capri, an island off the coast of Italy. Emily is having an over-the-top and luxurious wedding to a wealthy Italian businessman, and she wants her old friend and enemy, Stephanie, to be her maid of honor. However, the wedding weekend is interrupted with murder and betrayal. Okay. All right. I loved the first one. Not so sure they needed a sequel, and with all the bad press floating around all that, I might give it a watch. I might not. I don't know.
Yeah, and I've seen some things where the second is not good.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll probably watch it too, just because the first one was so awe-inspiring and different at the time that it released. But yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. Well, Jensen Ackles and Eric Dane's new action series Countdown has set a June 25th release date with a 3-episode premiere on Amazon Prime Video. Now, Amazon has also released first look photos from the series with the official synopsis that reads, when an officer with the Department of Homeland Security is murdered in broad daylight, the LAPD Mark Metcham, played by Jensen, is recruited to a secret task force alongside undercover agents from all branches of law enforcement to investigate the murder. But the hunt for the killer soon uncovers with a plot far more sinister than anyone could have ever imagined, kicking off a race against time to save a city of millions. That's freaking fantastic. I love this too, because if anybody doesn't know, Eric Dane was just diagnosed with ALS about a month ago, and it seems like he's going to try to get as much acting as he can done before some things start to take over his body. But yeah, I mean, Jensen and Eric, I feel like they're going to have great chemistry, so I'm excited to see that.
Same. I think anything that Jensen Ackles is in is normally really good. He knows how to play these roles really well, and so yeah, I'm excited for that one. All right, let's jump over to Netflix, and I'm beyond excited for this news. Netflix is bringing a collection of Alfred Hitchcock films to the streaming service next month. Starting June 1st, a collection of classic Hitchcock films will be available to stream in the U.S. Now, those will include Vertigo, Rear Window, Frenzy, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Family Plot, and the scary as hell, The Birds. Currently, U.S. customers can stream Hitchcock's genre-defining masterpiece, Psycho, which is now available on Netflix in the country. That's like anything Hitchcock. If you're a filmmaker and you don't like Hitchcock, you're not a filmmaker. I'm just saying. Like, come on.
Just saying. Well, Anthony Michael Hall has joined the cast of Netflix's Wednesday for season 2 in an undisclosed role. The cast marks the reunion between Hall and Wednesday executive producer and director Tim Burton, who Hall previously worked with on the 1990 classic Edward Scissorhands. You hear that? 1990 is considered classic.
Shut up.
I'm just letting you know.
It
said it. It's fine proof Associated Press 1990 classic.
Yeah, that's like, what, 30 years ago? 30, 40 years ago? Whatever.
35.
Whatever. Fuck that.
You're welcome.
Whatever. Yeah, that's my math. I still promise there's nothing in that cup. All right. Now, I know I have said on previous shows when we announced that this thing was being greenlit and being made that I thought it was a bad idea. I still think it's a bad idea, but I like that they're going with relatively lesser known cast members. I'm talking about the Little House on the Prairie series that's in the works at Netflix, and it apparently has found the whole Ingalls family. Alice Halsey, who really nobody really knows. You got to start looking her up, guys. She's been cast as the lead in the role of Laura Ingalls, while Luke Bracey from Elvis and Hacksaw Ridge, Crosby Fitzgerald from Abbott Elementary, and Skywalker Hughes from Ordinary Angels will play Charles Ingalls, Caroline Ingalls, and the beloved Mary Ingalls, respectively. If for anybody who doesn't know, that's mom, pop, and older sister. The Netflix series is based on the beloved book series, of course, written by the real Laura Ingalls Wilder. It was first announced with a series pickup back in January. As I said, this is a smart move with Halsey because she isn't really well known. She recently lent her voice to a Disney animated series, Kindergarten the Musical. She's also appeared on a soap opera, Days of Our Lives, and in an episode of The New Night Court. And she made her television debut in the Apple TV series Lessons in Chemistry, playing the daughter of Brie Larson's character. So minimal resume, which I think is smart because Melissa Gilbert is going to be hard to follow up as Laura Ingalls. I mean, she defined the role. She is to so many generations Laura Ingalls. So kudos to this young actress who's stepping into this role and trying to live up to that. Make it your own. That's the best advice I can give you. Just make it your own.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting interpretation because, Netflix likes to do some interesting things with some beloved properties, and sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm at least curious. I'll definitely watch the pilot and see what that looks like.
For sure.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But now it is time for our guest segment, man. That's right. We have the one and only Gabrielle Walsh coming on the show to talk about everything found, talk about life. Y'all got deep. She even sang to you happy birthday because that's when it was recorded. It was so funny.
She did. You can't go wrong when Gabrielle Walsh serenades you. It was beautiful. I so appreciated it. And she's just a lovely human being. And yeah, if you guys remember the last time we spoke to her, it was kind of a cliffhanger where Lacey was at her house and Sir was hiding in the closet about to take her ass. And we're like, what happened? Well, of course we know what happened, but we dive into that. We talk about what it was like. Cause if you guys know, if you've been following the show, watching the show, it gets pretty intense when he kidnaps her. So we talk all about that and how she approached that. And then, like you said, just dive deep into life about how that real life trauma and joy plays into how she approaches Lacey. Just a really, really solid conversation. I can't wait for everybody to hear it.
For sure. Well, here she is.
Gabrielle Walsh, welcome back inside the Crazy Ant Farm. How are you?
I'm well, Dustin. How are you?
Oh, living the dream as always, and super excited that you're coming back in because, wow, a lot has happened since the last time we chatted. Just with everything, not with just the show and Lacey and all those but with you in life. You've been doing some stuff. You've been busy, and I can't wait to talk about all of it because, as you know, I love following you. I love seeing everything that you do, not just with your work, but within the community and how you are as a human being. And can't wait to just dive into all of that with you. So thank you so much for coming back on.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. And I enjoy your post as well. It's just they're beautiful reminders and insight into what we do, what we deal with in the industry, and I think it's very important.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate your support and sharing them sometimes. I love that. All right, I want to have time to talk about some other stuff, so let's dive into Found because I think that if I'm not mistaken, the last time we chatted, Lacey had just been taken by Sir. And I was really upset. I literally started a hashtag, if Lacey dies. I was like, we're going at it. We are it's not going to happen. What an incredible little arc there for those few episodes. I thought the dynamic between you and Mark Paul was just absolutely phenomenal. That emotion, I feel like everybody was on the edge of their seat the entire time. So I want to start there because I know in our last interview, we had talked about how we separate that when we go home from those dark storylines, right? Because that can play into the mental health aspect, especially when you're dealing with something so dark like that. So let's talk about that because he roughed you up a little bit. And it was very in the head and very dynamic and dark for Lacey. So talk about your approach to that a little bit.
Yes. So I think when we last talked, it was, or on here at least, it was just he was in the closet, but we didn't know what was going on.
Yes.
And in my head, I'm like, no, they can't have him take her. They wouldn't do that to her, right? They wouldn't do that to me. No. But no, when I sat down with NK, she's like, "Oh yeah, girlfriend, you're taken, and we're going there." And I was like, "Ah, well, hell yeah!" Like as an artist, you're just like, "Wow, you want those roles that really like grow and stretch you, and
Yeah,
get to pull those things out of you." It's terrifying at the same time, Like I think that it's I want to bring truth to whatever I'm playing, whatever
that's
role
right.
I'm playing. But in handling just the gravity of the subject matter of what we're dealing with here, like somebody who is taken, being taken, their freedom is being taken,
Right.
and not only just that, they're being re-traumatized by somebody who was this like boogeyman in their life that now has in real time manifested at such a like confusing time too with you see Gabby, her sister, her best friend, her comrade, it just like shocked her with this news of having taken him, and then she gets taken herself. So I wanted to make sure that I took care of those elements in the history of that Lacey and Sir dynamic. NK is so intentional in the way that she shares things with us as to like, well, one, what young Bella was going through in the beginning of the series. You get to see like some of those things that she was dealing with, and now dealing with this new dynamic of what the reality is, even him just being there.
Right.
So how I approach my work is I delve into different things of my own experience and traumas and things to be able to bring a level of reality to the work, and then I heighten them depending on what we're going through. I heighten them depending on the circumstances, so I definitely had to heighten them in a big way, because I wanted to make sure to capture the fear of
Yo,
what that
definite.
is, the strength, the survival, and Mark Paul, working with him was such a pleasure. I feel like he just, that he's a seasoned actor, and the gravity, the grounding that he brings to the work. I watch him and Chinola, and I'm just like, all right, I'm taking in. I'm always like learning and taking in how do I approach this moment? How do the masters, the experts, like approach this moment? And just even in the first scene that we had together, no, it wasn't the first scene. I think it was the second scene that we had together where we're in the home, his old home,
Right.
and he's like got the injury and he's cleaning himself, and Lacey's there and she's kind of like figuring out and assessing what the next move is, how to like get into his head to get whatever she needs to be able to survive this moment. um, I really got to see, even though I was tied to the chair, like how he set up the scene,
Yeah.
how he, made sure to take the time. Because sometimes as beginning actors, we can just be like, all right, well, at least me, I'm gonna do what I'm told. I'm gonna, like, where do you need me? I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be great,
Yeah.
really taking your time to set up and find out those particular things, like, okay, where does this glass go, where like I'm gonna start here, let me kind of feel out this moment, because then when you're in it, you get to just play, you get to
Mm.
glide, you get to be free, you find that structure so you can be able to like lose it and take command of the space, because in that space you're being asked to hold something that's quite serious.
Yeah.
And in order for it to be impactful, you have to have that clarity and you have to take control. And so that energy and working with him was just like, it was amazing. And I mean, I was terrified too to be putting a needle to Mark Paul's back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah.
Not exactly much acting there.
No, and I wanted to talk about that because the dynamic there of she's terrified, she's trying to process, okay, I'm in this situation, is he going to kill me? Is he not going to kill me? How am I going to get out of here? And yet she's still worried about making sure somehow that he's okay, right? And that's that real dynamic with Lacey and Gabby. It's like all the stuff that this man has done to them, they are still genuine to who they really are, and it's like, well, do you think she was concerned about his safety a little bit, or was it a survival mode of I need to make sure he's okay to get out of there?
No, I think if Lacey could have, she would have stabbed him in the neck. No, I think that there is a level of, there's a level of disgust and you know, like I think if there's any darkness in Lacey, it exists in the Sir space.
Right,
Like if
right.
she hadn't have passed out, she probably would have stabbed him, you know,
I love that.
when she was getting free. She would have stabbed him and then probably would have regretted that for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
She even talked about, like having been like, I should have killed him when I had the chance. And Gabby has to stop her, like, hey, remember who you are. Like, this is not who you are. You think you would be this person, but you find out, like how dark that is and you can't go back.
Yeah.
Speaking from her own experience. I think Lacey, like, it was definitely like a tactic. Like when you had said like she cares for him, I'm like, my stomach literally turned so like connected. I've been with Lacey.
Well, fantastic, because I wanted to know from your insight how you approach Lacey. And I love that they give you guys some backstory and that they're delving more into Lacey's backstory.
Yes.
So that we can kind of see how he terrified her basically her whole youth.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was really and then the whole dynamic between Lacey and Gabby and having to forgive Gabby for kidnapping him and like what you didn't tell me, kind of, so that whole dynamic brought into it also kind of played a twist to it. So on top of the trauma of being taken by Sir, now you're feeling like, I guess, jilted by the one person you thought you could trust that would never lie to you, right?
Yeah, I think that, well, it starts out there. And then after that, once he takes her, it's all survival mode, not thinking about being upset with Gabby or anything
Right.
like that. It's all about survival. So, how Lacey approaches like those moments, it's like, how do I get to this person to get him to be off of his game? Because you know, she resents him. She has, like she hates him, but she's not unaware that this man is brilliant. He's an intelligent
That's right.
mind. And getting ahead of him is going to be difficult. So when she decides to like sew him up, she knows to play a little bit on his ego, because his ego is such a big thing for him,
Yeah.
to get him to allow her to be free for a second and play on his ego again to push his buttons, to be able to steal the scissors, I believe. Oh, no, the needle, one of the
Yes.
needles, to be able to, wiggle herself free. So, there was like a fine line of like what that is and how to approach it, how to repress some of the like resentment and hatred for this person, but then and the fear, but then also like how do I get ahead of this person that has clearly been ahead of the game most of the time, as much as Lacey would hate to admit it's the truth.
Yes, without doubt, and everything, and this is why I love, because I don't know how far in advance you get copies of the scripts or know what's coming, but to know that she then goes into this thing where she's terrified to be alone, and the whole dynamic of the after effect of what happened to her, and that leading to the relationship with Zeke. If anybody hasn't seen this week's, maybe not, relationship with Zeke. I don't know how I feel about
Relationships are
that.
complicated. They're
Yeah,
complicated, right? And
that,
these characters are very complicated. It's not
without
like sort of like your
doubt.
cookie cutter A to B to C to D, and then we end up at the end of the alphabet and everybody's getting married and happy with life. Like
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
story does not end there.
No.
And yeah.
Yeah. Were you excited for that storyline to kind of evolve? I know the last time we talked, you were talking about Arlen and how everything is on the set and all these kind of fun stuff. Were you excited to see that there was potential for that storyline to develop and see where that would go, to play with that relationship?
Yeah, I think like, listen, we deal with so much darkness in here. You need a little bit of love like sprinkled on
Yes.
in there. And we know Gabby's such a complicated cat that her relationship with Trent or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if she would ever allow this space. And then you have the toxic relationship with her and Sir in this thing. My mother, by the way, she's like, they just need to get together and just like call it a. I'm like, Ma, you can see your toxic
That's right.
relationship status from that comment, Mom. He's her captor. She's like, well, we all need one of those. I'm like, oh my
Oh
Lord,
my goodness. All right.
help
Yeah.
us, help us. So I was excited to see that. Like Arlen's like a brother to me. We have so much fun. I feel like on set and through the work, we really connect with the hearts of our characters.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to see that, and he's so childlike himself. Like, he still watches what he watches. If you go into his trailer, or you ask him what he watches in his in between time, it's like the Ninja Turtles, it's these like cartoons. And so he brings a lot of that to Zeke, and I think Lacey has so much of that as well, and so
Yeah.
do I. So it's like seeing these two people who, have this light, who are these adult kids in a way, trying to like figure it out and figure it out together. Like, that connection is really beautiful and
Yeah.
innocent way. And we need that. We need that in this complicated world that we're dealing with. And like you were saying, like, we don't know what's gonna happen. We, these given that bond and that they found with each other, it's also, there's these two people kind of dealing with traumas, and where they have found themselves or found their clarity have been through these cases.
Right.
And now the dynamic is changing. Like, you go from being friends to like being into each other to like, being physical. It's like, what do we do here? What does this mean? How do we act here? I know I ask 50 million questions. Sometimes I'm like, do I see like us getting married? What are my vows? Was I practicing that? Oh, that's too much.
Wow. Okay. Already with the vows. That's a little far ahead, but
I'm,
yeah.
I'm a girl, and I know I'm not speaking for myself here,
Yeah.
but like, sometimes when you're into someone, you think so far down the
Oh, for
road. You
sure.
like imagine these, grandiose things. And then like for Lacey, it's that scary. Like, you don't not necessarily like marriage or whatever that is. Just sort of the shift in this dynamic of a person who was her best friend.
Right.
Like, what does that mean? How many relationships have these people really had,
Yeah.
given what they've been through?
That's
You
right.
know, it's hard, it's messy, and hopefully they'll find their way, or just find more of themselves in what they need, right?
Absolutely. And I like how you say that too, because, I look at it as these people are all broken and trying to figure out how to fit together broken pieces for something whole. That can be tough sometimes. And I think that, the way that everything, the writing and the way you guys all approach it on the show is a beautiful thing. And the connectability is there. I think that's why I enjoy the show so much, because I can resonate with the characters. You guys do a brilliant job of bringing it forward to where you can feel for them. Even Sir, he's that guy where you want to hate, but then
Lacey's
you understand. Yeah. No, not Lacey. Lacey clearly, as we've established. But that background that he had and knowing where he came from to get to who he is. And so I think that's what makes the best villains too, are the villains that think they're doing the right thing for the right reasons, even though they're
Yes.
clearly insane, right?
I love a good anti-hero story.
Yes,
I
yeah,
love
same.
it so much, because as people, we're complicated. We're not all light, we're not all darkness. There's like, like there's so much like within us, and trust me, whatever you believe that you're like not capable of, like, is probably what you might fall victim to. So finding ourselves in these seemingly unredeemable characters, I think, is really a really beautiful thing, no matter if you necessarily agree with what they're doing or not.
That's
It's
right.
just gaining more perspective, a full rounded scope of like who this person is and the things that led them down this path.
That's right. And I love that you talked about how what he watches in the trailer and how you have a little bit of that and stuff too, because I think that, we all, if especially if you've ever been through any trauma young, right, in your life, we all need to revisit that inner child every now and then, right? And play a little bit in life and recapture some of that and figure out what did we need then that we could use now as adults. And so I love the fact that you brought that up. And I want to talk about that too, because the show does a really good job, but you in general, as a person, the awareness that you bring for mental health and the advocacy, you're every day I see you, and you are putting out light to the world about, hey, we're all in this together, we can get there, we're okay. And I think that's so important, because normalizing conversations about mental health, I think, is necessary, right? And I know we talked about this a little bit before, about how we can use our platform with our art to start those conversations. But it needs to go beyond that. It needs to be where we are out there not just saying, but living what we're saying and putting it out there, right? So, and you do a beautiful job of that. So talk about, and I know, we've discussed in the past some of the stuff that you had gone through early on in your life, being a young mom, losing her dad, and all the stuff. So talk about why it's so important to you still, and because you do such a beautiful job of letting people know that they are seen and not alone. So talk about why it's so important to you still.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you. Yeah, well, what you were saying earlier about we need to go back into that inner child, right?
Right.
Um, I don't think anybody in this life escapes some trauma in childhood.
That's right.
It may look different for everyone, but we are we aren't able to make certain choices for ourselves, and so we have to kind of succumb to life happening to us,
Mm-hmm.
and deal with it and process it and all those things that we'll probably continue to be dealing with and processing until we leave this earth. It's just hopefully on that path you find tools and mechanisms and things that help you see more clearly and see you more clearly. And so what I experienced, in my childhood was like feeling that lack of being seen,
Yeah.
feeling lost, not understanding myself, not understanding the life, like the life that was happening around me, and some of the things that I was experiencing in terms of like whether it was like with family or friends and betrayals and things. I'm like, why is this happening? Like, what did I do? Because as a kid, everything is about you.
Right.
Everything you take it on as you, and that it's your fault, and it's such a tough place to be. And as we grow, I would love to say that we like we separate that, but the ego is a powerful thing and can be arrogance, it can be victimhood, everyone has one, and it affects how we view and see the world. And so we really have to break that down and understand who we are beyond these limited beliefs that we have formed. And so that little girl that felt lost, felt like she didn't belong, felt like she wasn't seen or heard,
Yes.
is who I carry with me when I go in to do this work, is who I carry with me when I'm thinking about speaking and connecting with different individuals, because I know what that felt like, to feel
Exactly.
invisible, to feel crippled by fear. And it's not only like a one-time thing, right? Like I had that when I was younger, but it's definitely something that throughout the years, even up until this point, that I've had to battle and break out of. You think that's I used to think, let me just speak for myself. I used to think that like once you like hit a goal or whatever, like you've arrived,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
all the problems and the things are done, like you figured it out.
That's right.
You the right things, and now like life is free and clear and ain't nothing gonna happen. Boy, is that so
So
wrong.
wrong. That's right.
Well, one, because like listen, like I've like kept this thing about like growth and personal growth, and like grow until you die, because the world is so vast and full of so many things, and the more that I know that I don't know.
That's right.
And I don't want to get so caught up and blinded and stuck in the way that I feel things are, that I miss it and I miss life and I miss myself, because I don't know. I feel like sometimes I've led 10 different lives in this one life at
Yes. Yeah.
times, the shifts and the things that happen. And so when you're able to like have a have sort of like that thing of like, all right, I'm growing, I'm learning, I lose myself to find myself, to lose myself again to find myself, that you always end up finding yourself in the end. And I just hope to share in some of the tools and the ways that I've discovered that and found that and continue to discover and find that in this life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love every aspect of what you just said. It's the one piece of advice as a dad, I early on tried to instill in my daughter, that if you ever get to the point where you feel like you know everything and you've learned that, you're done. Life is done. So don't ever get to that point. Continuously grow, continuously learn, continuously feel, and make mistakes, because mistakes are part of it, right? You can't find out who you really are without failing. And I think that's so critical. And I love that I think the one thing that I really, really, really like about you, and that you do so passionately, is you make people feel seen, whether it's through your social media, whether it's in an interview like this, whether it's in real life, face to face. And I think sometimes it's something as simple as that can change a life, right? Because I think before you can look inward and see yourself, sometimes you need to know that someone else sees you. Otherwise, you don't have that spark to find yourself. And you do that. You bring that light, and you open up that darkness. And I think if you can do that just for one person, and change that life by making a simple comment, or recognizing them, or giving them a voice for a minute or two to say, you're okay, and I'll speak for you if you can't speak. That is so important. And you do such a beautiful job with that in your life. And I see how you conduct yourself as a mother, and just as a human being. And I think it's why, you gravitate so well towards people in your career, and the projects that you're doing, and why people associate with you. But beyond that, yeah, I think you're a phenomenal actress, no doubt, and I enjoy everything you've done. But it's more of, you're a phenomenal human being, and that's why I enjoy talking to you so much, and why, every opportunity that I get, I will take it, because we need more people like you. And just continue to keep doing that. Continue to keep shining that light, and helping people, because if we're here for such a short period of time. I literally, right before we started recording this interview, one of my childhood friends, best friend for life, said, hey, I just wanted to let you know I had a heart attack Monday, and it was a bad one, and I almost didn't make it, and they had to put 4 stents in. And he knew it hit home, because I had lost my brother and father to heart attacks. I've had 3 heart attacks. And so he knew. And it was a stark reminder of, tomorrow could be it. Today could be it. And if we're not out there living that life, and just being, yeah, we just need to live that life, and do what we can to help people, because we're all in this thing together, right?
Yeah, Dustin, yes. Like,
Yes.
listen, like all this life that you're speaking into me, like, thank you, but and that's what you're doing.
Well, thank
That's
you.
what you're doing right here. Like, you just spoke so much life into me, and we need that. We need people who see us. We need people who see us more than we see ourselves at times. They see our potential. They see what we're capable of. Like you and your platform, and how you utilize your platform, even stretching into the mental health space to
Yeah.
give a more in-depth approach as to what is needed or required, or just to share some things that could possibly work with someone, so they feel seen, so they feel heard. Like, you do it consistently on your platform, in the way that you speak, like, and it shows, like, your network has grown
Yeah.
throughout.
Yeah, I think we saw success, but it was success strictly as we're making movies, and people who like movies follow us and all that. But it's when we started opening up personally about life, it really took
Yeah,
off. And my
yeah,
son-in-law approach it with everything we do. It's like the stories that we tell as filmmakers, the guests we try to have on the show. It's all about providing a voice for people who don't have a voice, and seeing people who don't feel seen. So
yeah.
yeah.
And well, thank you too for just even right now, I'm so sorry about, like, your friend and what they're going through. I'm so happy that they're still with
Me
us,
too.
like, that they're still with us.
Me
But what
too.
you said was just so important, in terms of just like, we don't know. Tomorrow's not promised. I just told my friend, I called her up. I'm like, hey, what we gonna do for my birthday?
That's
And
right.
she was like, well, like, maybe like after or something. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna live to tomorrow. Let's figure it out today.
That's right. That's right.
No, no matter like what, is going on health wise, you don't know how much time you have left.
You don't.
And that's important too, with what you bring as well. Like this transparency,
Yeah.
the transparency of like, hey, this is going on. I don't have it all figured out. And that's what really like connects us because we get Instagram, we get these things and we see the highlight reels of people's life. And
That's exactly right.
the glorious, but like understanding like so many of the people that we admire, they have a whole story and a behind the scenes that you're not exactly seeing. So while you're like sitting there and you're comparing yourself to their highlight reel, you are always going to stay in the darkness. Even if you compare yourself to your own highlight reel.
That's
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like,
Yeah, no, that's exactly. It's one of the main reasons we started the mental health podcast. It's like because as filmmakers, you're seeing, oh wow, they're on set, or they cast this person, or they're doing that. But we're real people going through real problems and dealing with real things. And here's
you
our
know?
real life. So follow this one too, because this is what we're really dealing with. That was an awesome day, and it is a memory I'll never forget. But it's also this. And a great example of that is when the day my brother died. It's like one of the worst days. I carry it with me all of the time. And I usually for 20 plus, almost 30 years, lock myself in a room on that day and refuse to come out and acknowledge people. I just want to be alone. And my son-in-law is like, why don't we do the premiere of our film on that day? Let's change this to a positive and make it a memory, because would your brother want you to do that, or would he want you to be happy? So let's change the narrative and celebrate that. And that's what we did. And I'm sure
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Your
I
circle,
love that.
your circle sometimes, right? It
What
wasn't a
was that?
popular decision amongst everybody, right? A couple of members of my family were like, "How dare you?" And I'm like, "But this
Oh,
is,
really? Oh, that's
oh yeah,
unfortunate. Not everybody's gonna have the same vision as you or
that's
understand
right.
what that is.
That's right. It
You
was
know?
the healing of that to allow it to finally be a happy day as opposed to a miserable day was life changing, and it's little steps like that. And so,
And
yeah,
you know what, Dustin? They're not going to understand you, and that is okay.
exactly.
Because, like, for my father's funeral, I'm not sure if I had shared this with you guys last time. I can't remember. But for my father's funeral, I wanted to make sure that it was a celebration of life,
Yes,
that it
yes,
really commemorated, like, the the impact, the experience of what he left in this world of light. Of course, it's a mourning. Of course, we're like having this moment for not necessarily for him, but for us to have that closure. And I wanted that closure to be in celebration.
yes.
Although, like it was so hard. I'm like, I'm burying the person who brought me into this world,
That's right.
who raised me, who has been my anchor and support system for all this time. So I didn't wear black at his funeral. Even in the church, like I wore white. I'm like, I want to change the narrative of what this is to what, like to what I desire to experience. Like I know that. I mean, and like listen, like I screamed in the car. I like cried profusely. I went and it felt like I was like my soul was gonna be sucked out of my body with how much grief I was experiencing,
Yeah,
like in this moment here, no matter what was like going on. I just wanted to make sure that I had this for just the impact that he had on my life, to change the narrative of what he gifted me in this
that's
experience. I'm
right.
sure your brother gifted you, to celebrate his life and how you're continuing with yours.
Yes, and the analogy I'll use to that is with you wearing white instead of black. You are that phoenix rising from the ashes. You are bringing light to the darkness, right? And I think that's how we all escape the darkness is light. Somebody's got to shine that light, whether it's ourselves or someone else at first. But if we
Yeah.
can keep bringing the light, we're gonna help a lot of people. And I hope that's what I'm gonna keep trying, and I know you are because
Yeah,
that's
in
just who you
turn, like
are.
help ourselves. It
That's
all,
right.
there's reciprocity in giving. Giving is a gift, they say. Giving is a gift.
That's right.
Because I've done some like other interviews, but every time like we talk, I just feel like so connected because you're so connected. And
Well,
I really, really appreciate that. Like it's beyond just asking the questions and getting a response. It's
yeah,
like, and it's an engagement. It's a conversation,
and
and it's a conversation with heart.
and
So
that's important to me. That's important to my son-in-law. It's how we kind of approach everything. It's like we can do the standard Q&A and we can ask about this or ask about that, but let's get real. Let's share with people, to connect with people and find out what it's all about, because there's always a story there. And let's find out the story. We probably doing our research know the answers to the questions, so let's find the story. Let's find out what we
yeah.
don't know. And so to have that connectability in those conversations, That's important to us, and I appreciate you saying that. It lets me know that we're at least doing it well. So, you know,
Yeah, because well, one, you just appreciate things. Connection is everything. And when we give, we find ourselves not only connected to other people, but connected to a more impactful part of our own being in
correct.
return. And even like in speaking some of these things that we talk about, like it helps us heal, it helps us process as others are processing. And hopefully we can be that for each other and continue as we continue to shine the light on, we shine the light in.
That's right. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for coming on, and just I knew it would be another great conversation just because every time you speak, yeah, I can listen to you all day long, and just it's fantastic, and it's a great birthday present. My birthday is Monday, so this is a great little lead into my birthday. Thank you.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Yeah,
Happy birthday
that's right.
to
I'm
you.
sliding into senior citizenship. It's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Happy birthday, happy birthday,
Aw,
Dustin.
thank you.
Happy. You know that song is so long I won't do it
Oh
all.
yeah,
but
no, you're good. That little
Funny.
piece was enough. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, serenaded on my birthday. That's
She's still
fantastic.
singing. She's still singing.
Well, I think we established in the first conversation, you can go. So, and that's fine because I do that too. So we're good. We're good. Listen, I'm hoping this thing gets another season. It needs to get another season, and I'm just continued success for everything that you are doing and everybody involved in that show. And I hope to see a lot more of you everywhere. I just keep doing it, keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for just being you.
Thank you. Same, Dustin. Same.
Appreciate you.
Ooh, man, I mean, talk about just fun, energetic, down to earth. I mean, so many words could be described for this interview.
Yeah, well, and you know, the one word that always pops into my head every time I speak to her, every time that you and I have an opportunity to speak to her, authentic. She just is who she is. She lives her life as authentically as can be, and her with a mission of helping and guiding others. And I think that just makes her a stellar human being, and always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Most definitely, most definitely. Thank you again, Gabrielle Walsh, for coming on the show. Well, now it is time for our top 5 segment, man. And this week, it is top 5 films that surprised us by either being better or worse than what we initially thought just from the trailers. Man, oh man, this was definitely interesting because it's a balancing act of good and bad.
Yes,
right?
I did the same thing. I mixed them. I'm going to give you some that surprised me by being way better than I thought, some that surprised me by unfortunately being way worse than I thought. So,
yes, exactly. Well, I'm going to start off with my number 5, which goes to Horizon American Saga. And I'm going to go good, better than what I thought. Because when we first announced Horizon American Saga on the show, I was like, this is, you know, Kevin Costner just leaning more into the cowboy stuff, westerns, things like that. I actually had no faith in it
yeah.
at all. I was more curious because it was initially supposed to be part 1 and part 2, 2 different films released within the same month or 2 months back to back or something like that. I can't remember the exact time frame, but honestly, I went into it optimistic. I try to do that with every film, and I was surprised. You know, it is written kind of like a limited series or a television show, which makes sense because he's been so successful on Yellowstone. So that's kind of what he was more used to at the time of writing this project during the pandemic, and the actor strike. But it's kind of sad because I am curious to see where the story will go. We might get Horizon 2 on Max at some point. I don't think it'll be theatrically released, but it is better than what a lot of people thought it was going to be honest. Obviously, it's a very niche audience that they are targeting, older white people. Obviously, but it still was good. I was by far the youngest person in the theater by at least 31 years. But you know, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, Horizon American Saga, it was better than what I thought it was going to be.
I would agree with that assessment, and I think unfortunately it was a victim of the Yellowstone hate. Remember, at the time that this movie was released, Kevin Costner was in a publicity nightmare trying to spin out of the hate he was getting for leaving Yellowstone and forcing that to go on that big hiatus gap and then having to write him off and all the stuff he was kind of saying about it. And I think the film ended up being a victim of that. And that's too bad because it's actually a really good film. And like you said, maybe we get 2 on Max, but I don't think we'll ever see the third part. It's a trilogy, so I don't know how they do that because from what I understand, they've already shot the second part.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 4.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Then even still, they've already shot the second one.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you finish the story because I don't think he's going to convince the studio to give him more money to do the other ones. So and 2, I'm guessing, leaves off on a cliffhanger, which will suck. But oh well, I'd still like to see it. I hope it does make the light of day somehow. I'm going to start off with one that underwhelmed me, failed me, was far worse than I was expecting. I was super pumped. I'm going back to the 90s. Man, I have a theme tonight with the 90s. What the fuck? I'm going back to the 90s, and I'm talking about the Matthew Broderick version of Godzilla. The way they hyped this thing, I will say this, the marketing was brilliant. They spent so much money on the marketing. This thing was everywhere, and the trailers were brilliant. Everything was so good. And then you go into the movie and you realize quickly, I'll say quickly, that this movie was nothing like the hype machine had built it up to be. The Godzilla you are normally used to seeing, forget it. Didn't exist, wasn't there. This was literally a giant lizard. Like, looked like a giant lizard, did not look like Godzilla in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. It was bad. It was really bad. And I felt bad for Matthew Broderick because this was a stinker you were never... and it took him a long time to recover from this to get other gigs afterwards. It was that bad. Yeah, severely let me down. It was one that I was really hyped for. I was really pumped up. I'm an old school guy. I love the old Godzilla movies. I like the Godzilla cartoons. I was like, oh, we're going to do a remake, and this one looks like it could be a little bit of a spin differently. But no, it was a spin differently, okay, but not in the way you wanted it to. So yeah, my number 5, sadly, Godzilla.
Oh man. Well, I mean, it looks like it was your number 6.
Yeah,
You
why
got
do I have
6 on your
6?
I don't know.
What is going on there?
Looks like you're gonna have to take one out or do an honorable mention.
I'll do it. Let's do Godzilla as my honorable mention then. I don't even know how there's 6 on there. Whatever. This has been a day for me, y'all. But there you go.
Yeah.
So you get a nice little fill for Godzilla.
Yeah, there you go.
Our
So
top 11.
Do you want to do your number 5?
Let me do my number 5. I told you I was going to tease. So let me do my legit number 5, which is a film that did impress me, was far better than I thought. If you guys remember when we first announced this thing on the show, I said, horrible idea. This should never be fucking done. Patrick Swayze and this movie was like one of those ones you shouldn't touch. And I was adamant. I was like, even with Jake Gyllenhaal, do not touch this movie. It would be disrespectful. It was so good. It was so original. I was wrong. Roadhouse, the remake with Gyllenhaal, was actually really good. They didn't go spot on frame for frame remake. They twisted it up a little bit, gave him a different background, made it a bit of a different story. Yes, he's still a fighter, still coming to be a bouncer at a bar, rescue a bad bar from some people and stuff. But the premise was a little bit different. And for me, I was pleasantly surprised by this one. It really worked. I thought Conor McGregor was going to be over the top stupid. I was like, this is just fucking crazy. This is going to be awful. No, Conor was actually really funny. He was a bad guy and he was supposed to be like this tough, but he was funny as hell in this thing and was the perfect balance of comic relief with in-your-face action and kind of like a sad storyline almost. So yeah, this one worked for me. Pleasantly surprised. I highly recommend watching it if you haven't already and get ready for the sequel. And now that Guy Ritchie's attached to direct the sequel, it's going to be good because Guy Ritchie knows how to do these type movies. So yeah, my legit number 5, Roadhouse. I liked it.
There you go. My number 4 goes to Black Adam. I was highly disappointed and surprised by this one. Honestly, because, Marvel and DC were both trying to get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in their franchises for the longest time. And he was siding more with DC and the Black Adam character because I guess he had more connection with it. And when they were during the pandemic and they were doing that DC Con or whatever the fuck it was, like I was very excited. I was very freaking excited. And I mean, come on, The Rock as a superhero, like his body is meant to be a superhero. And then it was such a disappointment. It was a very cookie cutter, cut and dry story that really didn't add a lot of depth or emotion to the characters. This was that in between time where DC was trying to still figure their shit out and then about to name James Gunn and Peter Safran as, co CEOs. And this was definitely a letdown, I mean, and they, especially at the very end when they imply, Shazam and fucking Superman. I'm just like, what? Why are you trying to set things up when this is already 6 feet in the ground? That makes absolutely no sense. But yeah, number 4 for me, Black Adam. Absolutely disappointed.
Which is a shame, yeah, because he came out and publicly announced that Henry Cavill was back as Superman and would be moving forward. And of course, we all know that did not happen, did not go well. It sucks because this movie, the cast was stellar. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate was just like incredible.
Yeah.
The costumes were spot on. It looked great. But it was a weak-ass storyline, and it was not, I agree with you, it just was not done well. It seemed like it was rushed, that there just wasn't much meat to the characters. They looked fantastic. If you had ripped them out and put them straight off a comic book page into this movie, they nailed the costumes. But that's about all they nailed. I'm right there with you. Yeah, it was kind of a disappointment. And it leads right into my number 4. Same thing. What happened? My number 4 is Wonder Woman 84. Of course, set in 1984. Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot gave us like the perfect Wonder Woman. It was so good. There were homages to the original Superman film. There were like homages to the comic book. They took great pride in developing her character in Amazon Island and like all these different things. And so you're thinking, shit, the sequel's gonna kick ass, and now we're set in the 80s, so we're moving it a little bit forward, playing off the immortality type thing with Diana, and it sucked. It was so bad. I wasn't even convinced Patty Jenkins wrote or directed this thing. I'm like, are we sure she did? Or are we just saying she did? Because it was so drastically different from the first film. This was a very much in-your-face, campy, over-the-top popcorn film that just didn't work. I mean, Cheetah was awful. It was absolutely... The version of how they pulled off Cheetah sucked. And Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord, hopefully James Gunn gets Maxwell Lord right in Superman, because Patty Jenkins got him completely fucking wrong in Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, I don't know. This thing just fell apart from the moment the credits rolled. It was just like, it sucked. The opening credits, not even the end credits, the opening credits. As soon as it came up, it was like over. It was so bad. The explanation about how they brought Steve back was disastrous. It was just, it sucked, y'all. Like, and I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised. I liked Gal Gadot. In fact, I loved Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, but I'm not surprised that they've decided not to move forward with her as the character, even though they could have. Just because Patty ruined it so bad, like, which is a shame because Patty's a great filmmaker and she did such a great job with the first one. But yeah, do not waste your time on Wonder Woman 84. It sucked.
Yeah, completely agree. But my question to you is, do you think if it was released in theaters that you would have a little bit better of a reaction to it instead of it being released as strictly on Max?
No, I think this was a victim. I think Patty Jenkins was a victim of the studio system, because I remember us reporting on it. This film was so drastically different from the film that we saw. There were multiple rewrites. They made her change a bunch of stuff. They they kind of took over that film and took away Patty Jenkins' version of what her sequel was meant to be. So I'm saying it. I guess it really wasn't Patty Jenkins that wrote and directed it, because the studio did step in and force a bunch of stuff that Patty just was not really on board with, and it showed. So I don't even think if this was theatrically released, it would have worked. It was just bad. I don't know what Warner Brothers was thinking, trying to make the changes that they made to that film. They shouldn't have. It was bad.
Yeah, completely agree, man. Completely agree. Well, my number 3, this is the dead horse that you should not beat, but you have to keep beating because it's so bad. Because they hyped it up so much, and
gosh.
a lot of people hyped it up so much. But I mean, I like Nosferatu, so maybe it was the same. I mean, it's the same director. But Lighthouse. Lighthouse is awful. So bad. So weird. Such a waste of time. Not even gonna lie. It was one of those films where we wanted to walk out.
We did.
And we don't walk out of films.
No,
Like,
we kept
that's
looking
the
at it
thing.
like, now?
Like,
Now?
it's yeah, it was so bad, and like could have fallen asleep. The cinematography was not great either. Like I really don't know what they were going for, and I don't understand how it got nominated by the Academy that year, because it was nominated in a whole bunch of freaking Oscar categories.
It was.
And luckily, I don't think won anything.
I don't think so.
But yeah, number 3 for me, Lighthouse. We've talked about it a lot, so I don't want to keep going on and on. But it's definitely one of those you have to keep bringing up and being like, hey guys, remember that this is a bad film? It still didn't age well.
Probably worse. It probably is even worse now than it was when we were saying it was really bad. It made no sense. It made no, other than the fact that 2 guys stuck on a lighthouse during an extended season would probably go mad, but it just didn't. It just didn't work. It didn't work. And it's 2 great actors. That was the disappointing part, right? I mean, Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. You would think, them going insane probably be awesome. No, it just wasn't. My number 3, I didn't know what to expect. That's why this one was on my list of ones that surprised me in a good way. I had hopes for this one, but I was really leaning more towards it wasn't going to work. And I was wrong. I'm talking about Challengers. This was a brilliant performance by Zendaya and both her male co-stars. The directing of this film was very unique, very original. The shot selection, the over-the-top loud music to control the beats in the timing of the tennis matches. It was very unique, very original. I know a lot of people were like, what the fuck with the music? But it was clearly a filmmaking technique of beats to control the timing of the tennis matches, because the music was always the loudest during the matches. And as a filmmaker, I liked it. I thought it was original and a unique idea on how to do that. But this is one of those ones that had people talking for sure. And any film that can make people talk, whether you liked it or hated it, it did its job. It was art put out there that caused conversation, and that's why I love it so much. It was well surpassed my expectations. A far better movie than I thought it was going to be, and really a more emotional, story-driven drama than I thought it was going to be. There was a lot of depth to these 3 characters and that triangle of a relationship that I just wasn't expecting and was pleasantly surprised by. So yeah, my number 3, Challengers.
Yeah, most definitely. That was one that I had to sit with and then realize that I liked it. But like after walking out of the theaters, I mean, it was just like, what did I just watch? Because it's wild. None of them are good people.
Yeah, no, they're bad.
None of them are good people. You're not really rooting for anyone. And that's always something that I want to have in a film. I want to root for somebody. And you don't have that here. But you do have a lot of creative filmmaking decisions. And you do have the techniques that were implemented, like you said. But I mean, overall, like, it's the mentality of being the best. That's what that film is about. The mentality of being the best, and how sometimes love can cross into that and fuck your world up.
Yeah, and what that film. Struggle to be the best can do, right? It can fuck up your life because it consumes you and it messes up everything else involved. And like, they did do a really good job of highlighting that.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. Well, my number 2 is the first film in the Artist Equity under that banner, I should say, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's company, which they completely changed the game and opened up different inspirations for different companies to try to maneuver how their pay scales work and, reimbursements, financing, and things like that. I'm talking about Air, the freaking movie about Nike trying to get Michael Jordan. I really thought this was going to be really good or really bad. And guess what? It's really freaking good. So I loved the acting performances. Matt Damon is so underrated. He's always like talked about and he's always in these big movies, but he's so underrated because
Agreed.
he's such a good freaking actor. Like, everybody thinks he peaked with like Good Will Hunting and a couple of other films, but what he was able to do, what Jason Bateman was able to do, Chris Tucker, even Ben Affleck playing the douchebag owner, creator of Nike, was absolutely amazing. Viola Davis as Michael Jordan's mom was absolutely amazing as well. And I just felt like you felt the anticipation, you felt the anxiousness, you felt the company about to go under because they needed something to be successful. And I think what this film did was brought a lot of color. It brought a lot of nostalgia with the 80s, trying to draft Michael Jordan out of North Carolina. And it brought a lot of fun, too. And I just love this film. This is definitely one of the most rewatchable movies, in my opinion, ever. But yeah, number 2 for me, Air.
I would agree wholeheartedly, but I differ from you in the sense that I was all in on it from the get-go.
Yeah.
I love Matt Damon as an actor. I've said this time and time again. I think Ben Affleck is a far better director than actor. Not that he's a bad actor, but he's a brilliant director. So when you tell me it's starring Damon and Affleck is directing and it's set in the 80s, I'm all in. And then it's telling a story that I actually lived through. I was there for all of that kind of stuff and the launch of the Jordans, and I loved it. It's one of my all-time favorite movies now, and I just think it's a brilliant piece of work. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think Matt Damon still to this day is an underrated actor, which is fucking ridiculous. And I can't wait to see Nolan highlight him in Odyssey. Him and Bernthal both. Because they're both severely underrated. So the fact that Christopher Nolan has got them and is going to show the world what these guys are capable of, just like, hell yeah. I don't even have to talk a lot about my number 2. I think everybody agrees, and we have relentlessly talked about it. My number 2, I went into it with all expectations. I was riding high. I think this is going to be one of the greatest Marvel movies ever. It's going to just absolutely play off of Ragnarok, and it's going to be just my favorite Thor and possibly Hulk film ever. And it was fucking disaster. Like, Thor Love and Thunder was the biggest misfire that Marvel has ever had, in my opinion. Even worse than the Iron Man one with the Mandarin. What was that, 2, 3? They were banking on the fact that Ragnarok was so original, how they blended the comedic tone into it and the relationship between Hulk and Thor, and they were banking on it. And they basically tried to recreate it in Love and Thunder, and Taika Waititi, who I think is a brilliant filmmaker, failed miserably. It just missed on every single thing. The acting was subpar. The pacing was bad. The story was bad. It was not good. That's all I can say. It's my least favorite Marvel movie. I just, Thor, Love and Thunder. It's awful. Don't waste your time. You can literally skip this one and be fine in the continuity of the stories. You don't even have to see this one. It sucked.
Yeah, completely agree. I liked Eternals more than this. And that's saying something.
Yeah, totally.
That's saying something. So there that is. We'll just let that lie. My number 1, if you are a historic listener to this podcast, you know when this movie was about to come out, I was hating on it hardcore, man. I did not think that it was going to be successful. I thought it looked stupid, and I just was absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. I'm talking about Free Guy. Ryan Reynolds in this video game adaptation, basically. He is a video game character going through his day-to-day life. I thought it was going to be so stupid, but the amount of pop culture references, the amount of action sequences, the amount of cameos from other Marvel people, it was amazing. I love it so freaking much. And they're talking about doing a second one eventually, but I know Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy are so busy doing so many other things. But this one I was so wrong about. It is so freaking good. It's so freaking funny. And it hits all the nostalgia feels, especially with Disney,
Yeah.
with Star Wars and Marvel. So I can't talk about it enough. But yeah, number one for me, Free Guy.
I love it. It's a great choice. And you know what it does? It's because, like you said, it has all the nostalgia feel and it has all the cameos and all of that stuff works. And it's a video game adaptation, but it has a very Matrix feel. Like he's living inside and then he's disconnected, kind of it's some sort of a weird, beautiful blend of like video game and Matrix kind of and it just worked. It really was an entertaining film. I'm right there with you. My number one, I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of like, I'm going to give it a shot because I'm not paying to see it. It's on streamer and I'll be, if it sucks kind of a thing. And by the time this movie hit, they had already had a couple misses. The franchise, in my opinion, was pretty much dead. That one with Olivia Munn, and God bless her, I love Olivia Munn, but that whatever one that was, third one, whatever, it was so bad. I'm like, okay, give up. It's time to end the Predator franchise because this sucks. There's just you can't tell any more stories. Well, Trachtenberg proved me wrong. He's like, what if we go before Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers characters? Let's show that Predator's been here longer than we think. Let's do a prequel. And holy shit, this thing was epic. It infiltrated into the Native American lands, and it was all about the Indians and how they adapted to fight this thing. And it was so good. It was so original. It was such a unique spin on, and it really started getting your brain going. How long have they been here? Have they been here even prior to that? Have they been like, how long have they been hunting Earth beings? But it was just so unique and so original. And I just the young actress who played her, I want to give her a shout out here because she was just phenomenal. She blew me away. Amber Midthunder, just unreal. Her character was brilliantly written. Her performance was brilliant. And so I'm excited for this new one coming. They're doing it again where they're kind of taking a unique spin and taking the Predator franchise, but away from the Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers type feel of it and just making it its own unique thing. So I'm super pumped about it. But yeah, if you haven't checked out Prey, do yourselves a favor and do it because it's outstanding. My number one, Prey.
Yes, most definitely, man. Most definitely. Well, we want to know, what film were you surprised by, good or bad? Be sure to let us know in the YouTube comment sections, the Spotify comment sections, add us on X, Threads, Blue Sky, freaking Instagram, any of the places, man. We're anywhere and everywhere. Please be sure to do that. We love the fan interaction, and we definitely want to know your thoughts and opinions.
For sure.
Well, heading over to the box office recap, of course, last week, Sinners coming in at number one, again, just dropping $3 million from its first initial weekend. So it brought in about $45 million. That's absolutely wild for a second weekend. Number two was Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, brought in about $25 million. That's huge for a re-release. The Accountant 2 came in at number 3 with $24 million. I'm kind of surprised by that number. It did more than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
So good for them. Number 4 was a Minecraft movie with $23 million. That one is quickly fading off now. It definitely seems that way. And then 5 was Until Dawn with $8 million. So be sure to check out those films in select theaters near you. And then, of course, new movies coming out this weekend. Thunderbolts, Rosario, The Surfer, Words of War. And am I reading this correctly? Is this that film?
Yes, it is.
This is that film.
It is.
Rust. Yes, that's right.
It's hitting
Helena
theaters.
Hutchinson, cinematographer, Alec Baldwin, killing.
Hitting theaters for a very brief time. It's a wide release, so you'll likely find it in a theater near you somewhere, but it'll be in and out quick. They're not going to do a very long release theatrically before it hits streamers. But I did read today, and I do want to say this, and kudos to them, because if they had done anything else, they're just you know how we feel about this, but all of the proceeds from the theatrical release are being donated to charity in her name and family, and rightfully so. They shouldn't collect a fucking dime off this movie, in my opinion, after the way it all went down. So, but yeah, if you want to catch it, and then it's going to be streaming, and yeah, if you want to watch it, I kind of want to watch it just in honor of her, because the cinematography did look beautiful, and it as a tribute to her to see her work. But yeah, you know how we feel about it.
It's absolutely wild, man. It's absolutely wild. Now the man has a freaking reality show. Anyway, movies you can still go see right now: Drop, The Amateur, The Woman in the Yard, The Legend of Ochi, and Snow White. Maybe.
Probably, probably the last. If I was a betting man, it's probably the last weekend you'll be able to catch Snow White in a theater somewhere. So,
absolutely wild, man. Absolutely wild. And then, of course, the IMDb Pro's Top Trending segment. The top trending movie is the film that everyone's talking about, which is Sinners, the television show that everyone's talking about, The Last of Us. And then the star that everyone is talking about is Caitlin Dever, of course, making her latest stint on The Last of Us. Freaking R.I.P.
Killing Joel. That's why everybody's talking about her. She's the bitch that killed Joel.
Exactly. It's wild, man. It's wild. But anyway, y'all, we got to thank our guest one more time, Gabrielle Walsh, for coming on the show. Be sure to follow her on Instagram, Twitter, X, all the good places that she's on. She's definitely worth the follow. That's for sure. And be sure to follow this podcast, of course, on all social media platforms. We are on we're at ITCAFpodcast. The company is at Crazy Ant Media. And of course, you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself at JLoganAustin and
at Crazy Ant CEO.
That's right. And then, of course, you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, we really freaking appreciate it. Hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media. And then, of course, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We got a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone.
We do.
But man, oh man, I mean, a lot of good news this week, to be honest. Nothing like very juicy, but a lot of like very top layer news, I will say. It's not like it was hard finding industry news, I feel like, but it was a little bit slower this week.
Yeah, a little bit slower, more of a like, let's talk about what's going to happen type stories, you know. But as cinephiles and as filmmakers, it is very encouraging. Anytime we can talk about projected success of the box office, that makes me happy, and I hope that it's true. I hope these numbers hold, because you know, I do not want to see the box office die. Fuck you, Ted Sarandos. Like, people do still want to watch them there. So yeah, it's encouraging, and I love anytime we can talk about stuff like that.
Of course, most definitely, most definitely. And then, of course, we love the one, the only,
Oh, bro!